Oh, excuse me, y'all. Sorry about that. I was trying to go live on TikTok, but I gotta set it up, I guess. All right. I was trying to do something different, y'all. Trying to do something new. But anyway, I'll have it set up next time. I gotta like verify my age and all that stuff. I ain't know how to do all of that, child. I ain't know how to do all that. Okay. My hair is all over the place. So listen, the other day, what's today? Sunday? Was it Thursday maybe? I did a live. I'm feeling better. I'm definitely feeling better. Still kind of don't have a lot of energy, but I'm definitely feeling better. I believe that was Thursday, you guys, when we were having a conversation about just different TV shows in general. But we did talk a lot about Carlos King and a lot of what he's had going on over the last couple of months, really. And I got off of my live, and I literally got off my live, and I saw that Kempire was doing a full-on breakdown. Like, ours was more impromptu. The conversation just kind of went in that direction. But Kempire did a 2-hour-long live with Taria, my girl Taria. And they did a full-on breakdown, right? It's a really, really good video. I highly recommend, if you have not watched it, I highly recommend you watch it. Well, the video is picking up steam. I saw Alexander Rogers doing a video talking about that video. I saw who was it? It was another YouTuber that did a video about it. Was it Rodney? Dang, I know Alexander Rogers did one. It was somebody else. If y'all know who it is, put it in the chat. It totally left my brain, but and so I was going to come down here yesterday and talk about Kempire's video. I actually was on the phone. Millie Chan, thank you, Shay. I knew it was somebody else. Millie Chan did a video. And I actually was talking to Taria yesterday, and I said, Taria, I'm going to do a live. I said, I'm going to take my nap because, you know, I told y'all I just been tired. So I'm going to take my little nap. And when I get done taking my nap, I think I'm going to do a live. And I said, I'll send you the link if you have time to come up to just sort of talk about it. She was like, cool. Well, I slept longer than I had planned to sleep yesterday. And so that kind of threw everything off. But today, while Shade in the City and I are doing our Love and Marriage Huntsville review for the for part 3 of the reunion, y'all were letting me know that Carlos was over on X, basically seeming like he was responding. One thing that shocked me about that was Carlos usually does not respond to stuff. He lets things just roll. He usually does. And if he does respond, he'll throw something shady up and he'll keep it moving. But y'all were like, no, he been over there for a couple of hours, reposting, tweeting, everything else. And y'all know I'm not on Twitter. And it's times like this, I kind of miss being on Twitter so I could go over there for myself and see what it was. But baby, ain't nobody about to set up no whole new account for Carlos King, okay? But let me just sort of recap what the issue is, because some people might be like, well, what is the issue? What is the issue? Kempire, go to Kempire's video that he did a couple of days ago with Taria, where they were talking about it. What's the title of that video? And I'm going to put it in the description box. I meant to link it, but I'm going to put it in the description box. I'm going to put the link in the chat in a second. It was called Surviving Carlos King. Yeah, Auntie Eva. It was called Former Carlos King Reality Star Exposed Producer, Surviving Carlos King, featuring Taria. So I'm gonna put this link in the chat, and again, I'm gonna put it in the description box so you guys can have it as a reference. Please make sure you guys go look at it. Like I said, it was a 2-hour-long video. It was a really, really good breakdown of what we have been talking about. Okay. Hold on, let me go to my live. Hold on, let me go to my. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. This is pissing me off. It won't let me pin it. Give me a second. Oh, Lord. Okay. Thank you, Tracy. I knew you were, I knew if you were here, you'd have found it before me. But anyway, so there's the video, y'all. Check it out. So let me just give a quick recap. And again, I say it's a quick recap. It's a 2-hour-long video, so y'all know y'all need to go see it so y'all can get everything out. Right. The breakdown was really good. And what he really did was he sort of did a timeline of, and it was things that you people, but there was things that people probably forgot about, honestly. Because I forgot about Monique. I didn't forget about Winter, but I don't think we talked about Winter when I did my video the other day. Because again, it was more of an impromptu. The conversation just sort of led us in that direction of all of the people that have had issues with Carlos. And what I said to you guys then, and I'm going to continue to say, is I do believe that Carlos has been doing this long enough to understand what the contract should and should not have in it. And I believe that these people are locked into some ironclad contracts as it relates to filming and things like that. However, what I said the other day was, and I know somebody said in order for it to be a class action, it has to be a certain amount of people. I understand that. So maybe class action wasn't the right word for me to use, because I do understand that class action is an extreme remedy, right? But I guess what I was trying to say was, if you get enough people that have a story to tell about how they were mistreated, I think that a creative attorney may be able to find an avenue that's not covered under those contracts. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Brown skin girl. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, you guys. Auntie Eva said brown skin girl did a breakdown as well. Sherelle and Black. Yeah, I mean, Sherelle and Black were definitely done dirty. And again, see, let's talk about it. For me, and this is the part that I think Carlos doesn't care to understand, because he's smart enough to understand. I don't think he cares to understand. And here's the part that I think Carlos doesn't care to understand. We get it, and we've had this conversation, you guys. We get it that when it comes to reality TV, the consumers want mess. We get that. None of us are living in a la-la land. We've had that conversation before. Wholesome, healthy reality TV that doesn't give you any drama doesn't tend to last long, because people want the drama, right? We've given you guys examples of shows that were really good reality shows, but because it wasn't enough drama, they didn't last very long. We don't need to go down that road again. We got it. But I think the point that Carlos is missing is that people want a balance. I think, and I review a lot of reality TV, and I watch a lot of reality TV. And I think that people want a balance. Also, we can see through the bullshit. So, for example, let's talk about Sherelle and Black. The production team for Love and Marriage DC, and this is my opinion, had absolutely no interest in anything Sherelle and Black had going on outside of their conflict with Joy. The only reason why they were brought on the show was to exploit whatever issue Joy had with Black. They were going to build them up as this home-wrecking couple that messed up Joy's best friend's relationship. and that Black was this horrible music industry person that took advantage of Joy and kicked her out of the band over some bullshit, right? That was the way they were introduced to us. That was the way that Sherelle and Black were introduced to us. Production didn't give a damn about what Sherelle was dealing with her mental health. Didn't give a damn about Sherelle and Black's home life. We didn't even know anything about Sherelle and Black having children. We never saw their kids. We never saw their kids. We never heard about their kids. We didn't know anything about Sherelle and Black having a stage play, a self-produced stage play. We didn't know anything about Sherelle and Black, their viral wedding that wedding that went viral. Like, we didn't get any of that. All they wanted to give us with Sherelle and Black was the joy drama of it all. And when Joy would no longer film with Sherelle and would no longer entertain the storyline, what happened to Sherelle and Black? They disappeared. They became friends of the show, but they weren't originally friends of the show. They were supposed to be one of the main couples. I'll use another example. And I understand what you're saying, J12. You said that you weren't interested, but you're one person. And I can't speak for you, but I know for me, once I learned all the things that we weren't told about them, I was like, wait a minute. They had so much more going on that they could have given us that they chose not to show us. Now, I can't speak for you. You may still have been like at the end of it all and still been like, I didn't care about none of them. But I don't think we were given a fair shake. I don't think we were given a fair introduction so that we would know whether we gave a damn or not. Now, at the end of the day, maybe we wouldn't have cared. But I don't think we were given that. Thank you, boo. Because all we were given was Sherelle was a homewrecker. Black cheated on his girlfriend, who happened to be Joy's best friend. Oh, and by the way, he did Joy dirty and kicked her out of the group. See, that's all we got. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. My boo thing told me to check my messages. Hold on. I got some messages. Sorry about that. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, hold on. So, a minute. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. It's a long message, and I'm trying to digest it. Hold on. So, oh, okay. So the update, I'm sorry, y'all. So the update, from my understanding on Love, before I forget to say it, the update on Love and Marriage Huntsville as of right now, according to my source, Martell still is not filming. Okay. I told y'all though that I was told that Carlos called Melody to ask her to come back. I mean, I guess he was trying to figure out probably trying to figure out if it was a play, if she was just negotiating or something, like if she really meant she wasn't coming back, and he found out she really meant she wasn't coming back. There are a lot of people who film for the shows but are not highlighted. So, okay, for the purposes of this conversation, I don't want us to lose focus on what I'm saying, because we about to go down a road that ain't what I'm talking about. I need y'all to stay right here. Listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the only reason I'm talking, and I'm gonna give y'all another example in a second so you understand what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is you only brought them on the show for the drama. You did not bring them on the show for what they could bring to the show as a love and marriage couple. That's the point I'm making. I know that people do a lot of filming, and I know they edit, and I understand you give up your rights. That's all in the contract. Absolutely. That's on all of the reality shows. You can't control what they show. You film, and it is what it is. That's on all of the reality shows. I got that part. That's not the point I'm making. Let's use Trish, Ken, and Marquez. Let's talk about Trish, Ken, and Marquez. The only reason why they were brought on the show is because of this storyline with Martell and Trish. The storyline fell apart because Martell and Trish couldn't get their lie together, and it was just a ball of mess. And at the end of the day, none of us really cared, right? But that is the only reason why they were brought on the show. They were not brought on the show because anybody gave a damn about their story. Now, their story is starting to take center stage for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, because it's so damn convoluted and crazy that as much as we kind of hate the whole story, we're kind of like, what? And of course, people keep doing interviews. So as long as they keep doing interviews, people are going to talk about it, right? Also, the reason why going into next season, like I told you guys before, they did have that physical altercation. And if Melody and Martell have left the show, then they gotta kind of they're scrambling. So expect to see a lot of Trish, Ken, and Marquez in the next season. Just telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. Okay. Right, Julia Sugarbaker. I think the Duncans became disposable when they weren't with the drama. They had so much more to offer. Well, also, not just them, but remember, Joy wouldn't film with them. Joy refused to film. There were a couple of scenes that were set up for them to film for Joy and the Duncans, for them to, and Joy wouldn't do it. Joy refused to film with them. So that through the, so rather than them film with the Duncans, you just didn't see them for like 5 episodes. Okay, next. Same thing with Trish and Marquez or whatever. Okay, boom. Now, somebody had to have told production. I don't know who told production, but somebody had to have told production that Trish and Martell had a little something, because how else would anybody know? But again, that's to the side. Sonny and Moses. There is absolutely no reason in the world for Sonny and Moses to be on this show. None. Their only purpose for being on this show was because of the Destiny piece. It had nothing, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the point that I'm making. I get J12, that's fine, boo. That's fine. You're one person. I love the Duncans. I still do. I love Sherelle and I love the Duncans. But here's the thing about a TV show. You're never going to make people 100% happy. So that's cool that she didn't do it for you. That's cool. Again, that's not the point that I'm making. That's fine. You feel, that's fine that you feel that way, but that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is the misused talent. That's the point that I'm making. Okay. So then, right, Sonny and Moses didn't even live in Alabama, and that's part of the reason why that fool ended up in jail, because he was traveling and without getting the proper permission, right? Okay. And here's the reality of the situation, you guys. We know that drama sells. So we know that there has to be a certain level of drama. We get it. Like, that's not the, we get that. And I think that's what Carlos is missing. People aren't complaining because you're messy. People are complaining because there's no balance. At least that's my opinion. And I'm going to open up the panel so y'all can come up here and share your thoughts. I'm going to open up the panel in a few minutes. That's my opinion, right? But we all know it was salacious. Right, exactly. So then you have the Monique. I'm just going through the different people as I remember it, and then I'll open up the panel. He brought up he played the clip from Monique where Monique was saying how Carlos approached her with the, we all black, the white people did you so wrong. The white people did you dirty. Come over to me. We all got to stick together. Power to the people. Boo, 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 boo. Right? So he played that clip. And again, regardless of how you personally feel about Monique, I do feel like it was a missed opportunity. Now, the reality is, to be fair, I think that Monique and Chris were going through their separation at the time. And I don't know if Monique would have been as authentic as she needed to be with them going through that, if I'm being fair. But I also think that it was the situation was mishandled, in my opinion. And I see what you're saying, Phil. I'm fine. Winter, you guys can go back to her Queen Sheba interview where she spoke on certain things as it related to being protected. I think the other part for me is when some of these people have gone to production with some legitimate concerns about feeling safe, about their safety, and those concerns being pushed aside, not being addressed, not being respected. And again, there are some very valid concerns and again, you don't have to like Winter, but there were some very valid concerns as it relates to what Winter went through on the show that last season. We can go over to Bell Collective. Again, y'all don't have to like So Gucci. Y'all don't have to like what y'all think So Gucci did or did not do. However, at the end of the day, a court gave her a stay away order. It wasn't a no contact. I think it was a stay away. So they weren't supposed to be within a certain number of feet of each other without So Gucci being okay with it. And what you did, and I believe So Gucci, and I'm going to tell you why I believe So Gucci, because of the way Carlos handled it is the reason why I believe So Gucci, right? Because the way Carlos chose to handle it was, I'm going to delete the interview. I'm going to delete the interview. I'm going to pretend like it never happened, and I'm never going to address it. That makes me feel like there's some validity to what she said, because if not, why not just let it be out there and address it the way it needs to be addressed? But that's my opinion. Hey, Powerful. Hey, Boom. I believe that when So Gucci said that she was not told that Selena was filming, I absolutely believe. Okay, CC Freak, I'm gonna drop the link in a few minutes. I got a few more things to say, and then I'm gonna drop the link. And Julia, I think your point is valid when you said that the Duncans were true DC. As somebody who's from DC, I don't think people understand. I've said this before, so for the people who've been around, you guys understand. But for the people who haven't been around to hear me say this, I don't think people understand that Love and Marriage DC was probably the first time you saw real DC couples. These are people that are really movers and shakers in the District of Columbia that are born and bred here in the DMV. I'll just say the DMV. You didn't get that with Ready to Love. When Ready to Love came to DC, you did not get that. Most of those people were transplants. They were not born and raised in DC. They were here because of college or because of jobs. Or they did not live in DC. They lived out further out, right? The Real Housewives of Potomac, I done already told y'all, none of them are from DC. Not one person on the Real Housewives of Potomac is from DC. The closest we have is Robin, and she's actually from Baltimore. So again, it makes a difference. And I understand that people who, they might be like, well, what's the big deal? It makes a difference because there is a culture here in DC. And you get it. You were actually getting some of that with Love and Marriage DC. You were getting some of that. See, Phil, you're hearing what you want to hear, not what I said. See, that's what I'm not doing that today. And I love you, Phil, but I'm not doing that today. You're hearing what you want to hear, not what I said. Phil said, as a DC transplant, we as transplants offer a lot to the city. At what point did I say y'all didn't? I never said that. I don't feel like anything I said was a dig to people who are transplants. I said that there was a missed opportunity because there is a culture here that really is connected to people who were born and raised here. That's what I said. That's what I said. But the Duncans exhibit that. Jamie and Urena exhibit that. And even though Quick and Ashley are from Baltimore, Quick is a big time DJ, I mean, internationally, but certainly out of DC. So there is a culture that is missing when you are dealing with people who were not born and raised here. That's the point that I'm making. And I'm saying that was a missed opportunity. Monique is not from DC. Winter was not from DC. And then, like I said, the Real Housewives of Potomac, none of them are from DC. Do they have something to offer? Yes. Winter's husband played for the Washington, well, back then it was the Redskins. There is something that can be that is there, right? Okay. But again, let me get back to So Gucci. I feel like with So Gucci, whether you like her or not, the point is she had a stay away order. And she was not told in a proper way that Selena was filming. And Selena was filming away from So Gucci in a sneaky way. Now, Carlos claims that So Gucci knew, and So Gucci said, no, I did not. I found out from production, not because it was an official thing that was told to me. It was an afterthought with production. And the point, and So Gucci brought up a really good point with Millie Chan's interview. Y'all go check out her interview with Millie Chan. If one of my mods can pull Millie Chan's interview and put the link in the chat, I appreciate that. If you could, please. She brought up a good point, and I understand we never saw the full-on fight, right? But what she said was there's a strict, no physical contact rule. And they reviewed that camera. She said they reviewed that footage 1,000,000 times because if she had put her hands on Selena first, she absolutely was going to be fired. They told her that. They said if they find out that she started the physical, now she might have started the verbal, but nobody's going to get in trouble for a verbal argument on a reality show. Nobody's going to get in trouble for that, right? But they said if she had started the physical piece of it, that was going to be her job. So I find it interesting that Selena started the physical part of that argument, yet she got a job. Like they came and offered her a job after the fight. She became a full-time member after the altercation. I find that to be very interesting. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy just dropped it in the link. She said that Carlos never called her after that interview. He took it down and she never heard from him. She said after she quit the show, she said then she heard from Carlos a couple of weeks after she quit the show, asking her to come back. So you've called Melody, and you've called So Gucci and asked her to come and asked both of them to come back to the show. Interesting. A lot of fans asked for Selena to join the show. Again, I don't care. If the policy is no physical altercations, then I don't understand how she gets offered a job after a physical altercation that she started. The physical part she started. She put her hands on So Gucci first. So I understand that a lot of fans wanted her to join, but guess what? A lot of fans want a lot of things we don't get. I understand Selena was offered the job first. I understand all of that. Again, my point is, if the rule says there can't be a physical altercation or that will cost you your job, and Selena had a physical altercation and she was rewarded, that is the problem I'm talking about. She was rewarded after the physical altercation. That's the point I'm making. But see, that's the okay. So J12 said, when it's your company, you can do what you like. With to a certain extent, sure. And again, Carlos has every right to make whatever kind of television he wants to make. Again, that's the problem for me, is how you treat your people. It's how you treat your people. That's all I'm talking about. It's how you treat your people. We know with Akeisha's situation, she chose to leave the show. So Gucci said that production was well aware of the situation between Latrice and Akeisha as far as his phone and that text message that Latrice sent Akeisha, yet they never stepped in. They never stepped in to say anything one way or the other to address it. So I don't know. If the handbook says zero tolerance is zero tolerance, point blank, period, I would sue Carlos to the point of taking my shoes out of his closet. Okay. Because listen, again, for So Gucci to say she felt unprotected, yeah, legality versus personal feelings. Exactly. Because here's the reality. You can, when you run your company, there are a lot of things you have purview to do and not do. But there's some things you cannot do. Like, even though you run your own company, Carlos has every right to hire and fire who he wants to hire and fire. Carlos has every right to create whatever messy storyline he wants to create. He absolutely has a right to do all of the above. However, when you employ people, there are certain standards that you have to follow when it comes to employment. Whose own husband wanted to continue on the show? See, here we go again. All right, I'm about to drop the link before I just get frustrated. All right. I'm gonna let you. I want to hear what y'all gotta say, child. I want to hear what y'all gotta say. Just because JJ may have wanted to continue on the show doesn't change what So Gucci said. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with what So Gucci said. The link is in the chat, y'all. Let me see what Too Feisty said. It's a gross. Oh Lord, y'all really got something to say. Okay, I see y'all. Hold on. It's a gross overstep to knowingly hire someone that your employee has a protection order against, regardless of if it's BS or not. The court's granted her one. Thank you, Too Feisty. That's the point I was gonna make. All right. Of course, Phil is here. All things Helen and CC Free. Welcome, 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 everybody. Come on up, come on up. All right, go ahead, Phil. Say what you got to say, boo.
You know we love each other, really be. We just be on opposite ends all the time. We gonna have to get it together.
I see you, Gabby. You can turn your camera off, boo. I see you.
Okay. I
All
just
right,
wanted
so
to
tell me how you feel.
so I wanted to say I am actually on Soguchi's side on this situation. Now I agree
Okay.
with Soguchi. If she got a stay away order, a conversation should have been had. I would say that. As far as Sherelle and Black, I was interested in Sherelle and Black. I wish we had seen more. But Carlos King is messy and he wants mess and drama. And if you're not giving him that, and we as the fans, we also have to take accountability too. Because when the show's not giving us mess and drama, we say they boring. Oh, we don't need to watch and X, Y, and Z. How many people started watching the Housewives of Potomac after the physical altercation between Monique and Candace?
You right? You
We
right?
have to take accountability of that. How many people said Married to Medicine was boring before we got this explosive argument between Quad and Sweet Tea and Dr. Contessa and Dr. Heavenly? So we got to take accountability as well. I also stated that when we start talking about physical altercations, Monique started the physical altercation with Candace, but people wanted Monique to return to the show, and she was actually offered a contract back on the show, which she declined. So, it's a very nuanced thing. As far as Love and Marriage DC, I loved y'all know Arena and her husband are my favorites. I wanted to see more of Sherelle and Black. I think the issue is we saw Love and Marriage Huntsville, so why would we think Love and Marriage DC would be any different? Once you saw the toxicity, and it wasn't like it was the new toxicity. The toxicity had been brewing with Love and Marriage Huntsville. So once we got Love and Marriage DC, why would anybody expect anything to be different?
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like, excuse me. I feel like, Carlos hires the same people over and over again. Like when you look at Love and Marriage DC and Love and Marriage Detroit, it's the same three couples with the same characteristics. Like you can be like, oh, that couple, that's Marceau and Tisha. Oh, that's Mel and Martell. Oh, that, you know what I mean? It's the same personalities. Like it's almost like he's looking for a formula.
I agree, really, B, but I'm gonna go back to something T said. Look how many people show up in the lives for Love and Marriage Huntsville and stuff like that when people do those lives talking about the drama on those shows versus another show when the show isn't giving you this dramatic explosive things. We as the fans are just not as accountable, but he's giving us what we feed off of. Like if everybody said, "Oh, the Real Housewives of Potomac was so boring," it was so boring because they was chilling and they wasn't getting up into it. But when they doing X, Y, and Z, the ratings are through the roof. Nobody's complaining. So we're getting fed what we're requesting, and we have to take accountability of that as well.
That's true. That's a point. All right. Helen, you were next, and then CC Free, Gabby, and then Too Feisty.
Hey, Really B, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, so I have 3 points to make here. It's interesting to hear a man's point of view versus a woman's point of view on what's going on because at the end of the day, the men are not treated with the same disrespect that a woman is in every situation, and there are women that are put against each other, and their storyline is made to look like to create the image that they want you to see. Um, I agree that they are there is a reality show, right? And they are signing on to give their life, and based on whatever is taped, they utilize the producers utilize that information to create the storyline. The problem is they're creating a storyline for the audience to see, and not always the reality of what is actually going on. So based on how they want that controversy to look, that's when they create the storyline for that. I have an issue with Soguchi because she reminds me of Destiny. They're as well as what's the other young lady, Trish. They're creating a storyline to make themselves look a certain way. So Gucci did not want Selena on that show because she felt like she wanted to be the star of the show. When when she knew that Selena was coming on, she created her own division there to make it look like she's the victim. That's what I have a problem with. I do get it that she had um, a she had legal action against her, but that had nothing to do with the show. She created that legal action. She was the one that attacked her the same way it was when Monique attacked um what's her name? Monique attacked the other
Candace.
young lady, Candice, and she
Candy.
created that storyline. She was mad in the moment and created her own issue. It at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether they created the issue or not. It's all about how we perceive it. But with perception, you have to look at reality of what is actually going on. Because I see what they're trying to convey to us. I'm not buying it. And at the end of the day, I think Melody's storyline is one of the worst depiction of who a woman is because that woman hasn't done anything to those women that they haven't done to her, and everybody wants to make it look like, well, she tried to come against her marriage, but she didn't. At the end of the day, she told what she only came after um Tisha because of what Tisha and them were doing to her. At the end of the day, I'm gonna fight for myself. So everybody wanted her to back down and only wanted her to allow herself to be looked at in a certain way all the time and for other people to attack her. She not one time did any woman come to her rescue. Not one time. And if you look at the storyline, Maurice, the M's, all three or four of the M's that are on that show have what they're doing is what we see men to be as narcissism and have created a storyline to make a woman look bad. We're not even looking at the men in the situation. We're looking at the women. That's my take on it. I don't know if that came out the right way, but I'm explaining what I see. It's a really um, interesting to hear a man try to tell me that a woman is not mistreated when I'm seeing it with my own eyes. We're seeing the same thing in our political world where they want a woman to look a certain way in response to a man. A man can do whatever he wants to do, mistreat a woman, dog a woman out, and we're supposed to be okay with that. And instead attack the woman versus the man. That's my point.
Thank you. Thank you, boo. CC Freak.
Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all can hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, with this Carlos King stuff, okay, I think a lot of people just because they dislike certain people are missing the whole principle of what is really going on. For example, the Monique thing. I know a lot of people dislike Monique. I 100% agree of why you would dislike that one. But
Excuse me, y'all. Sorry.
I just don't think nobody should miscount her feelings because I think it said a lot in that one particular interview she did when she said she was done worse there than she was at Bravo. And I actually believe that because Carlos has this thing that I've seen, like this is just from my viewing. I've seen it seems like when he sees something, he leeches onto it and just continues to make it fester. For example, with Love and Marriage. Like Melody and Martell have been broken up for what, at 4 years at this point? And for some reason, he loves to bring it up at every reunion. Like the woman put a protective order against him. That's why you never saw a scene with those two. But he keeps pushing this kind of stuff. And the same goes for Soguchi, regardless of, and I agree, it was very frivolous of her putting that order on it because she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed, but like you said, really, B, it was still a protective order on them. And Carlos and his production team should have done something about that. But they kept pushing the issue. You need to talk to her. And then using everybody around her to be like, you need to talk to Selena. You need to talk to Selena. It is not up to her to want to talk to her. I mean, it is up to her to want to talk to him. It's not up to them to force something when you actually have actual protection over people. And I don't like how he just discounts all these women's feelings over, like, for a buck in a moment. And I can understand all of them saying they don't feel protected. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
I don't like it. Like, once, even on this reunion, like, Martell and Mel had no scenes together, but yet he keeps saying stuff like, "Do you miss her? Do you do this?" I'm like, oh my God, like, it just aggravates me, and I can't stand it.
I agree.
agree.
J12 asked me a question. To the best of my understanding, let me give you to the best of my understanding. So Gucci had a stay away order, a no contact order. That is not the same as a protective order, but if she agreed to be in the same room, then it would be okay. So when she agreed to film with Selena, then you remember there was a scene where when she was talking to JJ, when JJ got upset with her, and when she was talking to JJ, and she was saying she talked to her attorney, and her attorney told her if she was okay with it, then she could do it. So yes, she did have paperwork, but there are different types of no contact orders. They're not all the same. So however her no contact order was written, then there were things, I guess, if she voluntarily said, okay, I'll film with you. But the point that I'm making, and again, I understand, I agree that So Gucci had that energy with Selena first. I agree with that. 100%, I agree that Selena had that. That So Gucci had that energy. That's not the point. The point is, So Gucci took that tape, the tape that none of us saw. Let's be clear. None of us saw. We saw that So Gucci had that energy for Selena, and we saw Selena get in her face or however it happened, and then we saw people on the ground, glass breaking, people screaming and hollering. We never saw what happened, but a judge did. And when a judge saw what happened, a judge granted So Gucci, Shantae, paperwork. Y'all don't have to agree with it, but the point I'm making is she had paperwork.
Exactly.
And I used this example before. If I get into a physical altercation with one of my coworkers, we fighting over our baby daddy. We got the same baby daddy, and me and her get into an altercation in the parking lot. HR got to make a decision about one of us, and if I go to court and I get the paperwork and I take it to human resources is gonna have to either change somebody's schedule so that we don't work at the same time, or one of us getting fired. So if I get into a physical altercation in the parking lot with a woman, and then my job knows that I got into a physical altercation with that person, let's say they were working temporary at the job. I take that paperwork to HR. HR says, oh, okay, thank you so much for the paperwork. And now they go back to that woman. And not only do they make that woman a permanent employee, so she gets a promotion. She goes from being part-time to full-time, and then they put her on my schedule. You see what I'm saying? We got to take stuff out of reality TV sometime, y'all, and we got to look at and that's the point that I'm making. I get it that y'all might not like So Gucci, and you might even think So Gucci started it. That's fine. But I'm talking about the human resources piece on this. And that's all I'm saying. So when So Gucci said, I did not feel protected, that was a valid statement.
Very.
Because it's a job, right? They get W-2s just like the rest of us get W-2 too. This is a job.
But she even said it on camera. She was like, remember she told Arkisha, she said, well, if she comes, I'm going to leave. I'm just stand up and leave politely. Once again, they're trying to force her to stay. They're like, no, you need to stay and talk to. Like, remember when Letitia at the cookout, whatever, she was like, you need to stay and talk, like, because you're trying to make a show. And she's like, this is not a show. This is my freaking life. Like, I don't have time for this extra stuff.
And what happened when she got up and left the brunch? Leticia got mad. How could you do that? Why would you do that? Why are you ruining my bro? You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. I went long-winded. I got people
Oh
waiting.
no,
I'm
I
sorry.
just gotta make one more
You
point because it's relevant now, and even
okay, okay,
it's on a whole nother situation. This whole
okay.
sweet tea quad thing. Remember me and you talked,
Ooh,
and I said they wanted this since last year. They got their
mm,
moment, and now it's a whole bunch of ruckus about it. And my thing is, Sweet Tea has no allies on that show. I really believe she needs to take the Melody route and leave for her own peace and
I
just
said that the
focus on
other
her
day. I said
marriage.
she need to just quit. I said the same thing.
She need to focus on her marriage because she's got a government job. She's got somebody she's
Mm-hmm.
in love with, regardless of what everybody thinks of it. She needs to focus on that and her peace and the people that love her because it's not worth it. It is not worth it for these stupid viral moments. Quad live for viral moments. I like Quad, but she lives for these type of moments. This is what she does. She's been doing this for over 10 years. Sweet Tea is
I know
not built.
exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, she's not. Sweet Tea is not built for reality TV. She's too real of a person for that, and she just need to count her blessings and just walk into the sunset. But that's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you, Phil. Gabby and 250, thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. Go ahead, Gabby. You have the floor, and I won't say nothing. I'm gonna let both of y'all speak, get it out, and I won't say nothing until after that.
Okay, so my opinion is coming from a person that watches reality, but watches more of the reviews than the reality TV shows. Here's my thing with the Monique thing, hearing from the reviews, I feel like instead of jumping into another show, I feel like maybe she should have took a break because with the interview she was saying that they would film her reaction and not what was done before she reacted.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because she was already coming from the situation between her and Candace and that whole thing over there, that when she came over here, she was already on guard, if that makes sense. Um,
Okay.
and then the thing with the Sunny thing, I personally feel that if Sunny came on in a different way than all of this rah rah rah, then maybe she would have been more likable. Granted, she took Destiny's Man, that's against all girl code. But had she came on here and would have been like, "Hey, friend," or whatever you want me to call you, I feel like we need to sit down and have a woman to woman talk because I feel as if Sunny is getting all of her information from Moses and not realizing that there are two sides to the story. Well, three sides to the story. His side, Destiny's side, and the truth. And then another thing, yeah, I think Phil said it where there's more people that attend to the lives than there is the people that watch the shows. I'm one of them because I started off watching Love and Marriage Huntsville during, I guess, past, y'all was on season 4, I think, and I was barely on season 1. When me and my husband started arguing literally over who was right and who was wrong in the Mel Martell situation, that's when I was like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. This is not for me. Um, so that's why I watch the reviews to keep my sanity, if that makes sense.
I 100% understand that.
I think you basically, I mean, just to chime in here, I think you're just basically saying, I mean, I know for me personally, I just watch reality TV because it is an escape. It's just a look into somebody else's lives and just, make judgment. That's what we do. And then once the show is over with, I clock out and go back to real life. I mean, that's just how I operate, at least.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, I get it. I get it. All right, Too Feisty, what you got, girl?
Hi everybody. I was just thinking, just like listen to everybody talk. I think a lot of it is more understandable if you expand the scope, because I think the focus is on the stars. But if you think about some of the B and C characters on the show, then you'll realize that there is a pattern of behavior when it comes to his production company, especially when you think of, as well outside of his tenure on OWN. For those that remember, the North always remembers, the Hollywood Diva situation with Elise Neal. And I can't help but think about the Encore. That show almost feels like a fever dream, but it got plenty of buzz online. It had the views, in terms of, the viewers and watching it. But I've never seen a show structured like that had that many people leave mid-season at one time. It Most of the people that started out on that show did not complete it. You only see stuff like that when it's like those competition game shows that have, people that get eliminated. And they never got picked up for a season two. And there was definitely an interest, and the popularity was there, but I think there's a lot of people that just don't want to work with him after their experiences with him. And then just to pivot it right back to Love and Marriage Huntsville, Miss Van had some type of a protection, stay away order or whatever on that weird Scott brother. And they tried to ambush her on the show with him. And if you guys think about it, she never came back and filmed on that show with her daughter anymore. And she was always on the show with Mel, if not in group events, but like one-on-one events with her and Mel and the kids and whatnot. And she stopped coming on the show after that. So there's definitely a pattern of behavior there. Um, I'm not sure why it's confusing for a lot of people. Maybe they are, like I said, not really looking at it objectively, but it's exact like you took it right out my mouth. It's exactly how you explained it. Really, be it was in the hands of the courts, and regardless of our personal opinions about what happens between Selena and Soguchi, they gave her whatever order they gave her, stay away, protective, whatever, and they knowingly hired Selena. And the ultimate goal of that season was to get them to film together at some point, be it under the guise of, oh, you guys mending fences or resolving whatever issues and coming together. You still were gonna box Soguchi into a conversation with someone that she clearly did not want to have one with. And I'll do you one better. If we operate on the hypothetical, once these grooming allegations were made by Destiny, and the very specific wording was, I was nervous. That's exactly what she said, those exact words. If Mel decided to continue on with the show, were they going to make the two of them continue filming together and going on cash trip, girls trips, whatever? Because that should have launched an internal investigation, because some of these moments may have happened on camera while they were filming the show. But even then, once that dog whistle was released, that should have nipped that in the bud between the two of them. And I can't help but wonder again, per the pattern of behavior, if they were going to continue to make them interact with one another. When again, that should have been nipped in the bud as soon as she said those words on your setting.
I agree with that too, Feisty. And let's be real. But the situation in Love and Marriage Huntsville, if this was an actual real life situation, wouldn't none of these people talk to hang out and stuff like that? You don't hang out with people that you either broken up with. You don't hang out with people. I mean, in some cases you can if it was a real amicable situation, but that's very rare. This was an ugly breakup.
Hmm.
Now, ugly breakups in real life situations, we don't go on trips together with, I'm not just talking about Mel and Martell. I mean like Melody and Destiny. Like that was an ugly breakup. But once again, Carlos is forcing the situation by putting them in the same room in this. And yes, we that's one thing. It's one thing I know for me, I do watch for the drama, but at the same time, I want resolution with the drama. I want there to be an ending point to the drama where it'd be like, you know what, we just gonna go our separate ways or agree to disagree, whatever it has to be. I don't like when drama just continues season after season after season, the same drama at least. Now, if it's different drama each season, that's different. But the same drama is just like that stuff gets old, and it gets old and tired, and we want to see something else. And that's one thing about Love and Marriage Huntsville. I think a lot of people are getting over. I'm pretty sure I speak for almost everybody in this chat and in this chat screen right now. I'm pretty sure we're all over Mel and Martell.
It's an endless loop.
Mm-hmm.
But that loop only ends when someone leaves. Like, he's there to make money, right? If he on season 10 and he still knows that Mel and Martell are going to bring the people in, he's going to keep Mel and Martell. So someone has to leave the show. Regarding the Destiny situation of it all, everybody knows I'm not a male person, but Destiny was out of line and out of pocket.
She was. And that's the thing. But see, like in a real life situation, even in situations in Bravo, the stuff that Martell has supposedly done, he shouldn't even had a job in the first place. He should have been canned a long time ago, in my opinion. But
somebody brought up, I think go ahead. Somebody was saying, I'm sorry.
At the end of the day, Carlos is becoming a liability to the network, I feel, because he's disrespecting these people's court-ordered papers, and on top of that, he's creating a hostile environment. It's a hostile work environment. So Gucci said that she felt unprotected. That says a lot about the environment. When Winter,
like somebody says, he doesn't even do his lives live anymore because
I pointed that out earlier.
Yeah, he doesn't even do his lives live anymore because he keeps getting caught off guard. Like, he doesn't like to get embarrassed. He would rather embarrass everybody else. That's how I feel, at least.
Yeah. And somebody brought up a point. I think it might have been Julia Sugarbaker. If it wasn't her, then I apologize. I'm giving the wrong person credit. But the point, going back to what you were just saying, Phil, I think CC Freak might have even said this as well. The problem is that you haven't allowed anything to progress, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that we are in season 9 and Carlos is asking questions like, so do you still miss Mel?
Like, who wants to hear that?
Like, let them be, because like you said, in the real world, none of these people would be hanging out together, right? And so I think that's part of the problem as well is, yes, he knows that the Mel Martell drama is going to, but he's not allowing any of that to progress. I get it. Mel is probably never going to share anybody that she's dating on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I respect that. I get it that none of us really are interested in seeing Ariane be on the show. Fine. I respect that. But give us something else. Move on. We do not care. And this, I said this at the beginning of last season. I said every single storyline last season was being pushed by what happened on social media instead of the other way around. Carlos's shows are chasing the blogs instead of the blogs chasing them. And that's part of the problem too. Because the reason why he can't get off the Mel Martell merry-go-round is because there's always some shit in the blogs that Martell is doing or that is going on with Mel and Martell. And so now he's got to find a way to backtrack it into the show instead of allowing the storylines to move on and him leave that stuff behind. There really did not need to be a conversation about what happened with Martell and the interview with Tasha K and him getting arrested. And like, honestly, I don't feel like that was a conversation that needed to be had, specifically because of the sensitivity of what it was surrounding. But because Ariane was talking to the blogs and the blogs were putting the videos out or the audios out, because Martell got arrested and he had a mugshot, like all of those things. So now we got to backtrack and figure out how to put it into the show. So now you putting all this other shit in the show instead of the stuff that you really filmed for the show. So that's why we're not seeing what's really going on in people's, because you stuck on this that honestly most of us are burnt out with. Yes, people, the ratings are high. My reviews, like Scotty, me, like we keep talking about the show because if I'm being honest, we making money off of it.
It's a good check.
If I'm gonna call a thing, my highest rated show that I review right now is Love and Marriage Huntsville. For as
Remember,
much as
all
people claim
y'all.
that they think of it, right. So
Remember, all
why,
y'all protested not to
honestly,
even do it, but y'all wanted to make sure y'all wanted to get y'all money, and I 100% agree with that. If you know, the
And
people
well,
gonna
yet
come
well, I
everybody's
regardless
went,
of.
lives
back.
are 500 plus people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I went back to Love and Marriage Huntsville from being honest because it wasn't nothing else on. When Love and Marriage Huntsville came back,
It was a drought.
not
Yeah,
this fall,
it
It
was
was a
dry.
it
but
was a
it was a
drought at the
drought. It
time. I
was
do
nothing
remember
else
that.
on. So I was like, hell, I guess I gotta review it because it was like Love and Marriage Huntsville and like 2 other shows. So that's
Right.
why I came back. But honestly, as of right now, yeah, that's what my numbers are. You know,
And
from
then
being
too,
honest.
That's his number one rated show as well. He reminds us all the time.
Oh
And
yeah, definitely.
everything you said really be, I totally agree with you. But if we look at it as a business standpoint, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I'm constantly getting my money from this show and doing this same thing, and we as the fans aren't dropping off, we're steady going up and up and up, and I'm steady getting renewed. He's gonna keep that same formula.
Well,
but
I
to
think
have the YouTube drama coming onto the shows without giving proper context, it confuses the audience that don't follow the YouTube drama. Because I was watching it, and granted, I do watch some of the drama, not all. I had to explain to my mother in law because she didn't understand what a lot of the stuff is. Another thing, uh, shout out to giving you the real tea because he gave Chris and Nell a storyline that they did not freaking use. So why was they at the dang old reunion?
Mm-hmm.
I
Why was
mean,
they there?
I would have preferred to talk about why Destiny ran up on Chris Fletcher and Neil had to, get in between that and how that somehow they made peace with that situation to the point where she was dating his son.
Which
I
is
would have
why
preferred to
she
talk
no
about
longer
that than for them to
And,
considers
dig up
her
the
her daughter-in-law.
skeleton of her and Mel's relationship because
and
that
let's
that was dead and buried.
and let's be honest. A lot of people who are saying, "Oh, I ain't watching next season because Mel on." Y'all know them same people gonna be watching the show because they gonna be nosy to see how it's gonna be without her. Them
Because
same
they're
people
going to be
go.
wanting to see
Mm-hmm.
the downfall of the show without Mel.
Mm-hmm. You know, people like I'm not. I can't honestly say I'm not gonna watch because 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna watch just so I can watch my content creators review it because it makes me laugh. It's funny, you know. It's a good way to pass my time. I watch because I want to know what they're talking about, the content creators, because I want to be if I agree or disagree and have dialogue about it.
And to be honest, her delusional fan base is the reason why she walks around like she's Jesus.
Exactly.
Because in my opinion, during this whole interview, it did not it not the interview, but the reunion, it did not give her a good look at all.
And she
It
and she
didn't.
didn't she didn't take into anybody's feelings the
No,
way I
she took no accountability. She basically brushed off everybody's feelings. And like Kimmy said, it's okay if you do it, but it's a problem if we do
well I been fell off, especially when Stormy left mid season because Stormy, in my opinion, was crying out to her like, "Your peoples are running me away," and she didn't say jack. And I'm just like, really?
it.
Like
That's all she wanted was for her to say, "Hey, y'all gotta cool it."
she
And
not
she
saying
didn't.
that she
She
can.
refused.
And if that's the thing, and yes, we can't stop people from doing what they're doing. But if these people so-called follow her, she could at least now see like, look, if these people are claiming me, I don't think that's cool that they did that to you. Like that's all she probably had to say. And I don't think
I,
nobody would have been on her back, but she just kind of stood there. And I was just like, really, Mel? And I was like, I don't blame Stormy for leaving because you make way too much money for them fools to be messing with your stuff like that.
Yeah, that
I
lady showing up to the warehouse was a little overboard for me. People calling the stores to get her stuff off the shelves is crazy to me. People ordering her stuff just to purposely say, "Oh, it had mold in it or it stinks." That's tarnishing her brand. And if she was, and say if it was to work, and everybody like all of her stuff would just be deshelved, that's taking money out of her pocket and out of her family's mouth.
I want to say something about production. I'm going to stay off the topic of Stormy's business practices as someone who has experienced something negative from her, but a lot of the choices. I'm going to be very specific when I say the choices that are being made by his showrunners and Carlos himself, it puts me in the mind of, what was that production company? 51 Minds Entertainment. They were the ones that were doing all of those Of Love shows back in the day on VH1. And some of the decisions that they made resulted in somebody being hired and cast on one of their shows and not doing the proper background check, and someone was unalived in the process.
Yeah, that
And
show
that's
ended
why,
mid-season. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, and that ruined and ended their entire run. They
Hmm.
ran VH1. It
Yep.
ended their entire run at VH1 because of those decisions. Or we can even go to Bad Girls Club. Those decisions that they were making over the course of time throughout all of their seasons. Again, uh what is the network? Oxygen. They totally pivoted the
Mhm.
entire network after how that fallout took place. But it seems harmless at first, but when you're dealing with real people and their lives and stuff, one bad decision could just topple the whole house of cards. And
Let
I see him headed in that direction.
let's pivot.
So
I'm
I
gonna
would just
pivot off of what
caution
you're
him
saying.
to things in the past.
I'm gonna pivot off of what you're saying. VH1. Remember when Basketball Wives first started and Love and Hip Hop? They used to show all the fights. But I
Yeah.
think the one season that changed with Basketball Wives was that season when Tammy and Keisha got into it. I felt like that went a little bit too far for my liking because some people don't want the smoke. But they've been create, like, even Tammy even said in interviews they wanted her to turn up for the cameras. Like that was the same season where Evelyn almost threw a bottle at somebody. Like
No,
it
not
just went.
almost. She threw it at that lady. She threw
Yeah,
full bottles at that woman. Yeah.
it got to a point where they had to quit showing fights throughout the whole entire franchises, like on VH1. And
Hmm.
I was just like, that one, like you said, one decision can change the whole thing. Like, we like to watch the fights because we like to figure out who started it and who finished it, blah blah blah. Let's be honest, was it
Things go too
justifiable?
far. Things go too far, and then when it happens, like I said, between a lawsuit, between the courts getting involved, between your entire production getting snatched off the network, there is some type of a response to your choices. So, this really should be a teaching moment for him. He should not ignore it. Everybody leaving at the same time, and everybody saying the same thing. They don't feel protected. They feel uncomfortable. There's not just one person saying it. If we go back to his first live podcast, Mel said that she felt unprotected as well. And then she continued to do the
Absolutely.
season.
Hmm.
She continues to do the season, and then now the lady got grooming allegations being placed on her. I don't think it was the worst decision. I actually think it's the best decision So Gucci could have made to choose to leave after making that comment on that live, because
She was crying out
Mel
for help.
made it, she stayed, and now we're seeing a lot of terminology being attached to her name that was never there before.
The thing is, she was crying out to help her boss, and her boss didn't catch it. That's what,
And I
just
But
just
but
like just
Mel
like
did the
Stormy.
same thing though, y'all. If you
and that's what
remember,
yeah.
Mel did the same thing, and it was not. She told him, "You're not protecting me. This man is attacking me, and everybody is on his side. He's got everybody in his pocket. Now everybody else is attacking me for me leaving him, choosing to leave him
Yeah.
He
and his
blackballed her.
drama. Yeah,
And I think
It
that
was
that's
that I
right.
blackball.
think this is Julia. I think that's the problem that people are missing. That when you ignore what people are saying, then you create this type of environment where people are then running to the courts to get to take legal action against other characters, or even in the situation where you said Mel didn't acknowledge Stormy's feelings. Well, her feelings haven't been acknowledged. She
Mm-mm.
hasn't been
Exactly.
protected. You know what I mean? So we can get mad at her for how she's handling things and for her being dismissive on this reunion and all of that. But when you put somebody in a situation where they're on a cast where your general safety has been ignored. I mean, this man has been convicted. Whether we agree with the conviction or not, he's been convicted of a crime and she's still working with him.
I
You
mean, let's
you
be
put
honest.
And he lied about it. He lied about being convicted.
Well, he
Let's
should
be
have to. A lot of
honest.
production, they should do their due diligence, and the background checks need to happen. This and most of that information is public record. It ain't even really required for you to pay a researcher to dig into somebody's background.
and whether I agree with what Destiny said or not, which I think the grooming thing is just just insane. As it was said before, it should have been, even now, there should be an independent internal investigation done. Not only did she say it on that platform, but then on her own platform, she insinuated that this is a pattern when it comes to them and that other people have felt uncomfortable. If nothing happened, then just go ahead and do an investigation and clear the air. Don't ignore what these people are saying, because then that's when you then put it in the hands of the public opinion and you get the fans that you're getting.
And that's another
But why
thing.
was
And
it
I see something in the
us?
comments. They was just saying, like, when Stormy was trying to get Mel to acknowledge about how she's been done wrong. Somebody was saying, does Stormy acknowledge her mama? Yes, she does acknowledge her mama. Just like Candy acknowledges her mama. But they can't change those people's behavior. But they
Just
also
like
be like, you need to
Mel
quit
can't
doing that
change her,
kind of stuff.
but Mel
Yeah, and
can't change her. The people that admire her, she can't change them.
she can't.
She,
But
at the
that's
end of the day, she has no control over that. Just like
But it's the
they're closer to
acknowledgement.
their
yeah,
mom.
Which is
it's
what
not.
people want. It's the
Yeah,
acknowledgement.
it's not. I know she can't stop them. That's all. All I wanted Mel to say was, I don't agree with what they're doing, and I don't claim those people. That's all she had to say. I
But
don't think
y'all are
there's nothing
missing the
wrong with
point
that.
as well, because the people that were doing that were not male fans. The people that were actually going to her studio, going to Destiny's home, was not a fan of Mel. That was just what people put out. He was not a fan. And the same way with the person that came to Stormy's location, she was not a fan. She was not a millimeter or whatever y'all want to call it. She was not. She was
But
just
then we
someone that was a content creator that was reviewing the show just like everyone else. And she may have been biased in some of her in her perspective, but she was not a fan. And
But
Can
I
I say
think they
something?
just
What?
wanted
What?
Mel to acknowledge that it was inappropriate. She didn't have to be a fan or she didn't have to be a millimeter. I think the ladies and the gentlemen on the cast just wanted Mel to acknowledge that those type of behaviors were inappropriate. That's
but
Yeah,
all
are
they
it's
they
not
really wanted.
necessarily about a
are
millimeter.
they
did they
I,
acknowledge
Wait a
that
minute.
her
Hold on.
husband was doing the
Wait a minute.
same
Hold
thing?
on.
but Stormy
Okay. Wait a
paid
minute. Hold
that,
on.
but
I have a question. Wait a minute. I have a question. So, for somebody, okay, who was it? Was that Julia or was that Miss Helen? I'm not sure.
I think it was
That
Julia was
said
speaking.
that. Okay, so that was Miss Julia. Okay, so you said she may have been a little biased in her perception. So
oh
how?
no,
What do
that
you mean
wasn't me.
biased in what way?
That wasn't me.
Oh, okay, that was
Oh,
the Helen.
so that was Miss Helen. So you said she may have been a little biased. Biased in what way?
They made the person that went to her studio was a content creator. She may have, in her reviews, she may have been biased in some of her reviews about her perception of what was going on or her perspective, but she was not a millimeter. But everybody wanted to run with that. The person also that went to
So
Destiny's house was not a millimeter. People are assuming those things and they're running with it
no,
because
that's
that's
not
what they want
true.
to
I
believe.
disagree.
No,
I
that is
disagree.
true.
No, it's not. No, at the time when Anthony Lofties went to Destiny's house, he absolutely was a male fan. He absolutely was a male fan.
Well,
I
he
didn't
would
see
say
him
that
as
he
a
was
male
a fan.
fan because
He would say he was
he
a
had an
fan
issue
of the
with Carlos.
show.
Exactly. And he had
He
an
would
issue
say,
with Carlos.
yeah, during that time, he would say
But
he
he
was a
was a
fan of
male
the
fan.
show.
But
Now he
he
was
was
a
a
male
male fan.
fan, but
That's all I said.
you can't. But then he also would say he's a fan of the show. He's not a fan of one person
Exactly.
or the other. Anybody can
But
get
was
it
he
now.
not?
But
Was he
what I
not
will
in
say
Both
Mel's
though,
people,
inbox and all of that stuff and trying to get close
yeah,
to
but
Mel?
but
Wasn't he
but
trying to
both
I
of
don't.
locate
them
her
had
a makeup
connections
artist
to
before?
Melody.
But
Both
hold on.
Anthony and this lady who went to Stormy's
So
warehouse, they both had connections with Melody. They
so
both had videos with Melody. They both had pictures with Melody. They both have had conversations with Melody. And Anthony was, I wouldn't say he was male friend, but he had a connection and he was able to get in contact with her. They
okay,
both
but now
did,
he's
and
doing
we're
that with.
ignoring that.
But
Just
now,
because
No,
things
he
but
change
are
was.
we
now, it doesn't
ignoring?
mean
No.
just because things
No.
have changed now, it doesn't mean that at the time when he did this, that they were not have some sort of connection
Okay.
to Melody.
No,
So
what
can I
I
ask you a question on popular opinion of Phil? Let me just ask you a question. You're on this show now with Really B. Are you friends with Really B?
No. But am I a
Exactly.
Really B fan? Am I
Exactly.
a Really B supporter?
Wait a minute, hold
Do
on.
I
Those are two
subscribe to
right.
Really B?
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
but
I
But you
didn't
can
say
be
that
but
they were
then
her
different.
now
friend.
But
See, that's what y'all moving the goalposts. I never said they were friends. I said they
oh
were
no,
fans.
I'm not.
Two
No,
different
I think
things.
he's
There's
a
a difference.
fanatic. I think
And
he's a
I agree
fanatic
with you,
in
really,
general.
B. I agree with you, really, B. But the problem is that people who are everybody don't watch the content creators like most do, like some of us do. And they take a perception of what they see on the show or a snippet of something somebody says, and they automatically run with it. So now, just because Carlos has put that out there, or someone who was on the show as such as Maurice or Maurice and his wife make a statement that these are the people that are millimeter fans that are coming for them. No, it wasn't, because the people that had an issue with them had an issue with something that they did. They just put all that on Melody and and the fans of Melody. It had nothing to do with what they did wrong. People were criticizing them for the things that they did. It had nothing to do with Melody.
But
It was what they did on the show.
why can't Mel acknowledge that
I
that type
disagree,
of
but okay.
behavior is inappropriate?
That's
That's
all I'm
my
saying,
only
Phil.
issue.
That's all I'm
Why
saying,
can't
Phil.
she
Like,
acknowledge that that behavior was inappropriate?
But
Because when Stormy sat at that table on the retreat and she said, "Do you agree with this type of behavior?" I ain't gotta say nothing. But then at the same time, come on, y'all, we can acknowledge inappropriate behavior. Like I just said, everybody who's seen me on YouTube and the comments and the chats know that I am not a male fan. I am not a male fan. But I can acknowledge that Destiny using the word grooming towards Mel was inappropriate and wrong, and I can't get with that. Why can't that's the only thing people wanted from Mel? That's it. Just
and
acknowledge
that's
that behavior is wrong.
and the
no,
thing is, the way Stormy asked her, she didn't ask it like she didn't say anything like, "Do you think what that person did is wrong?" She literally asked Mel a question about how she feels about certain stuff, and Mel was just like, "I have
but
nothing to say about that." And I just
Can,
felt I was like, "What?
but
Really? You have
I
nothing
but
think
to
do you
I
say?"
think
Because
it's
do you think
interesting
do,
that people would say that, though, when this man, her husband, has been disrespecting her this whole time, and when it was asked for them to at least take up for her and say it is wrong, what he's doing is wrong. We're not we're the only person that actually spoke up was Maurice, and it took 10, 50
or
seasons
so?
for him to do that.
okay, can I just say this? So,
Go
number
ahead,
one,
Tracy. I'm
everybody make
sorry,
sure to
baby.
like the live, because I'm trying to get Really D to cover another show for us, and I think everybody's going to be thoroughly entertained.
Oh
So,
yes. Oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry.
I'm working on her. I'm working on her, y'all. I'm working. But I will say this: I feel like we are getting off off track of where we need to end up and where the blame needs to fall because we keep somehow ending back up in like Mel and Martell and Love
And
and
the
Marriage Huntsville.
millimeters.
And millimeters. No, the problem starts at the head.
Hmm.
So
And that's what I
Carlos
said.
I
is
agree.
where my issues lie, my thoughts lie, because I can tell you one thing. Everybody who said that they signed up for the contract, he told them what he told them was going to happen on the show, and what happened on the show was not the same thing. So if you tell me that this is my show and we're trying to pivot away from that, and they want to do something like this, that, and the third, blah 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 blah, will people believe him? Sure. So is he getting people to sign contracts with the expectation that this is supposed to be different than something else? Fine. And is everyone's response going to be, well, oh, you were silly for believing him. You were silly for believing that it was going to be different. But at what point are we expecting grown adults to change their poor behavior? Because at this point, once you know something is wrong, we are all expecting everyone else to change their behavior. Why is he exempt from needing to change his behavior, but
I
everyone else
agree.
needs to make changes to their poor behavior? We're saying like, well, everyone knows what they signed up for. According to the people who signed the contracts, they said Carlos told them that this show was going to be like this,
Hmm.
and it was going to be different
Because Monique
from
sure did
where
say
that
that.
was. Like
But you also
everyone is saying that, but then when we're holding Carlos to task to say, "Hey, we need you to change your poor behavior, your poor decision making skills, because it is a constant pattern with you and your shows, and these similar type things keep happening." Why is it then going back to the people who are being edited? Because y'all can say what y'all want. I don't believe 90% of what I see on this show, because
exactly.
we all know we all know and can factually believe that they show us what they want us to see.
What they want to
They
show
give
us.
us
Exactly.
they give us the words that they want us to hear and the narrative that they want us to believe. Because I didn't like OG on Basketball Wives, but I believed her and I supported her and I stood up for
Exactly.
her. And when she played the audio of this is what was said on the clip, this is the part that they showed y'all.
She was
I
smart
didn't
for
say those
recording that.
words here. I didn't say those words here. They took these words and moved them over here and did something else. So I can't sit here and tussle with people about something I'm seeing on TV that I know is not 100% accurate because it's been proven that it's not 100% accurate. So where my problem is with Carlos because I start at
Yeah,
the top.
I
I go to
agree.
the initial problem of the thing.
Tracy, I
So
have a
Gucci has
question
the
for
order.
you.
And that's what
Yes,
I'm saying. His inability to reel things in is what creates a fan base like this. You know what I mean? Like we're holding the cast members accountable for how they're responding to
To
the
what they
lack
didn't
of
show.
support. Yeah, for the lack of support that they're receiving. And if you use AL as an example, there's nobody on my cast who would be able to deal with this person at this point. Even Carlos, you know what I mean? Like you gotta say it's toxic all the way around from that person, whether they went from one cast member to the other, one person felt unsafe in a situation with it. You gotta look at it from the whole spectrum. But this is what breeds these types of situations where you have all of this infighting going on because fans feel like they have to take a side because he's not
That's
taking a
true.
side. He's not
True.
taking a side to protect his cast. And I'm saying that across the board. When Tisha said, I'm having a hard time dealing with the public scrutiny, I'm having this, I'm having that. You're supposed to have a psychiatrist on staff with
Mm-hmm.
these
Yeah.
people. You know what I mean?
So
Like there's
Mhm.
certain things that yes, they sign up for, but when they're struggling through dealing with that, you should be able to then help them navigate through that and care a little bit more. Just like what someone said earlier, it's not moving forward, and it doesn't have to be 5 years of drama with Mel and Martell.
Mhm.
Okay, if they don't want to have anything to do with each other, there's other aspects of their life that you can highlight and you can bring to the table with there being some type of resolve without it having to completely be drama. We need to see
I
Martell in
I
counseling.
have to push
The
back
key
on that
word is
a little bit,
balance.
y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be unpopular opinion field in this moment, and I have to push back. I'm sorry. When it comes the Tracy, I agree with everything you said, but the difference is you can't ask Carlos to change if he's not acknowledging that it's a problem.
oh yes
Nobody
you can.
changes unless
Oh yes you can.
no, hold
Oh
on
yes
for a
you
second. Let me
can.
finish.
Oh
Let me
yes you
finish.
can.
Let me finish, Tracy. Carlos doesn't feel that it's a problem. Carlos is still making money and again, as fans of this show and his other shows, this is his formula and we continue to watch. He does not see it as a problem because why we as fans continue to watch, his ratings continue to grow. And so that's why he's not, and he doesn't see a problem with it. So we're not, he can't change his behavior unless he sees it's a problem in his behavior, and he doesn't because he's still making money. Now, too, regarding the stars of the show, I'm gonna say, can Carlos do a better job as HR and do X, Y, and Z and help them when they're struggling? Yes, but you also have a choice not to continue to sign on the dotted line. Because all
Indeed.
money ain't good money. And they have a choice.
Indeed.
Like, if Tisha was going through that much, Tisha should not have continued to sign up and be filmed on the show. Once they offer you that contract, like they did Akeisha, like they do the other girls, and they say no, everyone has to make that choice for themselves. We gotta kind of look at it like you don't
But
always have to continue to film and to be on the show. You may want to, but if it's not good for you mentally and physically, stop signing that contract. Walk
Like
away
Tiffany
from it.
did. Yeah, like Tiffany did.
Can I
yeah,
ask
and
a
Tracy, I
and
have a
question?
and
question for you.
Akeisha and so Gucci and certain people are in a different situation financially, and I'm not saying that's no excuse for it, but when you put all your eggs in one basket, and you're generating a certain amount of income or have
Yeah.
become accustomed to certain things, it's hard for people to then walk away. Same thing. I mean, same thing with us on our jobs. Not everyone just walks away from a toxic work environment when you have bills to pay and kids to feed and things of that nature. You know what I mean? They still got that NFL check to rely on, that gives them the ability for them to be able to walk. Stormy has her Canvas Beauty that makes it a little bit easier to walk away from
Yeah, but
situations. And I'm
Tisha
not
and them
saying
A
got
it's
lot
their
right.
easier.
I'm
Tisha and
not
them
saying
has
it's
their
right.
construction business. So it's like everybody. So they're
We're
not the same
assuming,
as
right?
us. We're all dependent on our 9 to 5s or our 10 to 7s or whatever jobs to pay our bills. These people are business owners. These people were independent millionaires, as they claim to be before the show. So they can walk away from this show.
Let's be honest,
So
y'all.
I want
To make
to.
to throw a little humor in this. Out of all the people that Carlos has hired, the only person who really needs this whole entire franchise is Lakeisha from
Mm-hmm.
Bell Collective. Everybody else could walk away from this and be all right.
And Destiny.
Yep.
And Martell.
Yeah.
We don't know their finances, so we can't say that.
Martell
We
ain't wearing tight suits for
It's
no.
You can see their finances from the way they look and the way they
You
act
can
and the
deduce.
things
You
that
can
they present
I
on
deduce.
the show.
disagree. We are not their accounting firms. We are not handling their taxes and their business
Okay.
practices. So we don't know.
All
a
right.
joke.
Paul. Okay. So I agree. But again, I think we're going left again. We getting away from the point that I'm trying to make. But great conversation. I'm gonna read you guys some of what Carlos said today. Somebody
Oh.
said, "Do we know why Kempire doesn't like Carlos?" I don't know that Kempire does or doesn't. I mean, you could probably go to Kempire's live and ask him. I'm not being funny. I don't
He
know.
said he does. He said he don't have a problem with Carlos. He doesn't
Yeah, I
like
don't
his
think I don't.
But you
practices.
know,
Yeah.
also Kempire has that HR background.
Yes, he does.
And keep in
So
mind,
he's saying
Kempire was
that's
the
like
first one that interviewed Oprah Winfrey. So Kempire he does not have an issue with Carlos. He's looking at Carlos' actions because this goes way back before any of LMH or any of that was formed. He was on other shows as a producer, and created drama there and was let go because of that drama. So that's what he's looking at. He's seen the pattern.
I have
Let
a
me ask
question
y'all
for
a
Quincy
question
when
for
you're done,
everybody
really
in this
big.
room. Do y'all think that Carlos? I mean, I know the answer is no. That he will never, probably never will. But do y'all think he needs to stop hosting his own reunions?
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So that's another good question. Somebody said, "Do we have this same smoke for Andy Cohen?" And I'm gonna
Yes.
say I do. I feel like Andy gets a lot
Yeah,
of
we've been dragging
criticism.
Andy for a long time.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this as well. I think that Andy does a good job of keeping. We see him do his Watch What Happens Live. We see him, of course, he does his radio show or whatever, but it seems to be a level of giddy messiness that Lord, you got to say Kempire, that Carlos seems to have, whereas with Andy, it's like shady messy. You know what I
his
mean?
mess is not.
Again,
I
His mess
agree,
isn't
really,
as
B.
dark.
I agree.
again, like for me, what I'm saying is Andy discusses. I don't think Andy creates it as much as he discusses it. Whereas with Carlos, it's like Carlos stirs the pot and creates it. And I know
Yeah.
that Carlos has production companies, like on the ground production companies, just like Andy does. But also, I think we give Andy way too much credit at this point. Andy is not as hands-on as he once was.
Yeah.
He really isn't. Especially after that Nene Leakes lawsuit, he's not as hands-on as he once was when it comes to these shows. He still has his EP credit, but he is not a part. He's not as much of a part of the day-to-day as he once was with these shows.
And he's messy regardless. He's just a messy person. He's gonna be messy whether you're
But
his
is there
friend
a
or not.
different? But at this
Yeah.
point, I ain't talking about how it used to be. But at this point, is there a different kind of messy between Andy and Carlos?
Well, Andy used to be a journalist,
Mhm.
like a true journalist, a CNN, like he has a background in that. So I think it's you also have to give merit to someone's vocation that led them to this point as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I
I
mean,
think
even
he
when
has.
you
Go ahead.
go ahead, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to
I
cut
think
you off. Go ahead.
I think he has the ability to kind of be a little bit more objective than what Carlos gets. He gets into the drama. He he drives it. He brings himself into it. I don't think he has the ability to kind of pull himself out of it the way that Andy does at times.
And one
I mean,
thing I
even
was
look at
noticing,
look at his interview style. Look at how Carlos does his interviews versus how Andy does interviews. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly
look at
like
his interview style.
like when Robin got married, and then when she did her thing on her podcast, we all knew that when Robin came to watch What Happens Live that night, that Andy was gonna grill her, and the way he grilled her was so like professional and whatever. He was just like, "Well, you basically lie," and then of course, she claimed she didn't, but the way he did it was just like, if you didn't
It's
catch
an
it,
art. It's a craft.
yeah, you know.
We've gotten some of the best one-liners from him, like leading them
Even
into the question.
even at the season 9 Roja reunion, like when the whole Phaedra stuff happened, the way he talked to Phaedra, it was kind of like, you know what you did was wrong, and I need you to acknowledge that. And Phaedra never pretty much acknowledged. She was just kind of like, well.
Now, I do want to see how they're gonna handle this Phaedra mess with Married to Medicine and Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now that is interesting. I would love to see how that was handled. But I'm gonna read you guys some of what Carlos said today, because again, the reason why, I mean, I was already gonna do a live anyway, but when I realized that y'all were telling me that Carlos was basically over on Twitter showing his natural tail. It was really surprising because Carlos does not usually address a lot of this stuff. So it makes me think that Kempire's live and added with all the other lives is sort of getting to him. So let me read you guys some of what he said. So Carlos wrote, in 2025, can we please shift the narrative that I'm trying to be like anyone else? I'm literally the only CEO of a full service production company, fully staffed, plus an on-air personality with shows. Like, I'm one of one. Happy Black History Month. So that's what he said.
Okay.
And then he was reposting a lot of people that supported him and agreed with him. So here's one of the things that he reposted. The person said, and another thing, when you get your own show, pun intended, y'all can tell someone how to run it. Y'all are not qualified, nor do you have the tenacity to tell someone how a show should be produced or ran. Kudos to Carlos King for a great season. Hashtag Love and Marriage Huntsville. And Carlos retweeted that and said, oh, y'all are preaching on this fine Sunday. Wake it up.
Oh my God.
So,
you're such a drama queen.
That wasn't a pun.
Well, yeah, child. So something else that was that he retweeted said, don't even waste your time trying to compete with me. No one else in this world can think like me. And he repainted and then hashtags raindrops.
Come on, Beyonce lyrics.
So he reposted that. So then he said, listen, I understand that I'm the face of Black reality production, which is why folks lie for sympathy and payola to distract. I don't know why people are lying, but okay. Then he said, first, it was all he does is talk about other shows and not his own. And then when I do recap my own shows and the ratings go up, it's still a problem. Thanks for the support, my love. So this is the one that I felt like was directly a direct dig at Kempire and I guess the rest of us, but I'm gonna say Kempire at the top of that. Excuse me, y'all. Let me stop laughing. Okay. So this is the one right here. He said, without Carlos King slander, how else would people monetize? Let's go and let God.
Baby, don't put God in
There's
it.
a lot of
It had
narcissism
nothing to
in
do
that.
with your ignorance.
Carlos gave a lot of energy.
Most of the time, y'all are critiquing. But most of the time, y'all are critiquing the show and the characters on the show, not specifically him. I mean, he catches strays because he produced the show, but most of the time, people are like arguing and going back and forth for characters on the show. He has an inflated self-confidence.
Can
And
I
that's
ask
how you
y'all a
know you're
question,
wrong.
ladies? Can I ask y'all a question, ladies and gents? Can I ask y'all a question?
Sure.
Do you think that Carlos produces the show based on what he wants you to see? I'm just
They all
asking.
do.
Oh
They
yeah,
all
that
do.
they
Not
like
So,
just Carlos.
that's what Mary.
That's
That's
common.
what Really B said earlier. Like they push a narrative, and they have that right to push a narrative once you sign those contracts.
It
Unfortunately,
starts with a storyboard.
Okay, I know Really B is gonna not like this next comment I'm about to make. Really B, I still love you no matter what. I don't mind him having this inflated ego. I mean, he may not be right, but is he the face of Black reality TV show? That's the truth. I mean, if people feel
mm-mm.
that they can
Isn't Mona,
come after him
isn't
and they feel like they can talk, they jump to him, he has the right to get on his platforms and respond. Like, we ain't gotta like everything Carlos does, but in Black reality, he is the king. We just gotta call a thing a thing. And if you want to come for me, I have the right to come back after you. So, you know, is his ego inflated? Yes. Am I particularly mad? No. If you go like me,
But
if
I
you
have a
gonna come for
problem with
me,
what you just said.
well,
I have a
I always
question.
think,
Why would you assume that I would have a problem?
oh, because we never agree. We on opposite ends all the time.
I don't listen. I don't disagree that Carlos King he absolutely is the face of Black reality TV. I think people would be a fool to say he isn't. He absolutely is. That doesn't change
No, I
anything
think
that I'm
it's
saying. See
money.
again, once again,
but
you say what?
that doesn't
I
make him
think
above reproach. That doesn't make
eh,
him above reproach
exactly.
though.
Oh
And I
yeah,
also
Him
think
being
he's
he's not
definitely
the king.
not.
I don't think he is. I
yeah,
think it's Mona Scott. I don't think he is. I,
We
I
ain't
think
seen
Mona
Mona
Scott
Scott
started
but I
it.
young in
would say
years,
Mona
y'all.
But
Come
is
on
she
But
now.
I
is
better
the
at it.
queen of it, baby.
say
She's the one that started it.
Mona's a pioneer. But if we're talking about where we are today, it's Carlos King. In my opinion. I mean, it's an opinion. It's just like assholes.
yeah, because
Everybody got one. That's just
I
my
agree with
opinion.
that because Mona don't even do Love and Hip Hop anymore. So I agree
Yeah, I
with
mean,
that. She's
she's not
definitely a
even right. She's
pioneer.
not even. It's not even her show anymore. But a pioneer, absolutely,
She definitely paved the
absolutely,
way for Carlos King because
Can I
Carlos worked with
can,
her.
yeah,
can I
yeah.
ask a question
So
about that? So at the height of her career, or when things were moving with her being like the face of it, did she respond to criticism publicly, and this is just a question
Nope.
because I don't know.
I think
To
she got.
me,
that's
it's
what
a
She
that's
different
probably
thing.
got it worse.
It's
To
a
be honest
different day
with
and
you,
time now. I think the reason why Carlos is responding because Mona wasn't doing YouTube. Mona wasn't always on Twitter. Like this
True.
is what Carlos does.
And
So I mean, it's like apples to oranges.
Carlos
This
puts
is
himself in
Carlos.
the conversation. Yeah, he puts himself in the conversation.
and that's the thing because you notice that Mona I think
Yeah,
only did
that's
maybe
what
two
I was thinking.
reunions, but she knew she was better off in the background and hired other people to do the reunions, and it was way better that way. Like she'll put her Monami name plan on it, but she has other people doing the day to days. She probably just signed the checks for everybody.
Tracy, before you randomly drop out of nowhere, I have a question for you. Since this is your lane, is she still here?
Mhm.
So now that we have Martell with the conviction, pattern of behavior, Mel points out during the reunion that he gets very aggressive with the women on the show, as opposed to the men. What happens in future productions if he continues to remain on the show and an altercation takes place between him and another one of the cast? Does that leave what is it, Kingdom Reign Productions,
Right, but
open to litigation from an HR point of view?
well, from my understanding, really be he's attacked people on the show before, and it's created an issue. Just they just didn't show it. He's
Yeah, the
done the
pattern of
same thing.
behavior.
Yeah, just like Ken just did. So it depends on what if they really want that person on the show, they know how to keep it hush hush and not allow it to get out to create enough buzz for him to be gone. That's my opinion.
But no, my question specifically though, like I said, pattern of behavior, like you just said, conviction on that's on his record. Mel points out during the reunion that he is aggressive towards the women. We've seen it a lot of times, but he's aggressive towards the women on the cast as opposed in a different way that he is the men. In the future, if something were to happen between him and one of the cast and they decide to go the legal route, does that leave Kingdom Reign Productions open to litigation? What would be the fallout behind that? Because these are choices to leave him on the cast.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
at this point,
Yeah.
Martell is a liability, and you are choosing to take on that liability as a company.
Yeah.
Like they're looking at Martell
Yep.
and they are saying, what, like the value that he brings to the value that he brings, the payoff that we get from him is worth, potentially the lawsuit that will come from it. So I mean, it's a cost balance analysis at that point. And then
I
you
agree.
literally have the option to say you are too much of a liability. It's not worth it. Or depending on how our insurance is written up and what's in your contract and how this is going to go, we potentially will be willing to eat it. And that's really
Yep.
where
Some.
it is at that time.
Yep.
It's a personal choice on the business, and then it's also, I think it also leads into the place of, does Carlos believe that because these people were friends with Martell prior, that they won't
Yeah.
actually sue him and Kingdom Reign and take it all the way through litigation, right? Because you also have to think that sometimes they look at things with the underlying perspective to say, okay, fine, they may do this, they may call the police or whatever, but do you think that they would actually take this all the way there, right? So then it turns into that piece of, things that you kind of look at when you're weighing those out. But yeah, is Carlos leaving himself open? He sure is. But
Hmm.
you leave yourself open when anyone who has that type of pattern of behavior.
Has the show been
I
renewed
hate
yet?
Mims
Yeah,
so
it's filming right
much.
now.
Hi, Mims. Welcome to the platform,
Oh
my
my God, I
love.
love them so much.
I
Hey,
wasn't
what
gonna say
up?
nothing
You're
about
so
that picture. I'm gonna just keep it.
um, hey everybody, what's
Just
up?
what you
me.
want to add to the conversation? Because we can wrap it up. What you want to add to the conversation?
I
You
don't know
so
who was talking, but there was like a young guy talking who said he didn't agree with you, and usually I don't agree with you either, so my ears perked up. I'm not mad at Carlos for defending himself, and I find it interesting that he's kind of following in the same pattern of Andy Cohen, who has built a enormous platform for himself outside of Bravo, and Andy does not seem to get as much ire as Carlos, so I'm kind of surprised. Technically, if I were in that position, that would make the most financial sense for me as well. Andy has done the exact same thing, and he does not get as much shit for it. So I'm just kind of surprised.
Mhm.
Wait,
Okay.
And it,
Andy doesn't get that much shit for it now or over the span of his career.
I would argue to say in the span of Andy's career, as he started to make himself part of the conversation, he did not get what Carlos gets for doing the same thing.
Go back
I,
to
Okay.
go back to
I might have
OC.
to
Go back to
disagree with
OC
that.
season 1 and 2, baby. When I tell you they used to light Andy up, he was all type
Yep.
of F
Yeah,
Who's
words
they?
and
the
the
twit like
fans,
the social
the
media.
the
I know
clear
so.
alabaster fans, those women. He was all type of F words and everything. They let him have it. I think the difference is our community didn't really pay attention because how many people from our community was watching OC? Like, let's be honest. How many people from our community was really watching like season 1, season 2 of OC?
Me. I don't remember which. I do not recall Andy
Mims,
getting like lit up.
I'm gonna send you the old Twitter friends. Yo, these old Facebook groups. These clear women was calling him every name that you can call a man who likes men. When I tell you, it was it was it was disgust. I was like, yo, that is vile. The
I
things that
would
they were
definitely
saying about
say
him about that. I was like,
I will definitely say Andy do get hit. He do get eat up by the comments one time. I even remember after the season 5 reunion of course Potomac rap, they ate him up that he even addressed it on his radio show. I remember that verbally. So he definitely gets his time. I guess he just deals with it better than Carlos, or maybe Carlos hasn't gotten to this point yet, but maybe it's because he's a veteran. I'm not sure. But yes, Andy does get his. We just may not see it as much as we see for the black folks because we're so stuck on the black part.
Maybe. I mean, I've seen like petitions started to fire Carlos. I've seen, I don't know. Maybe I was not on social media like that, so I didn't see what y'all saw. I remember watching OC from season 1 and Andy and them doing like a makeshift reunion and all that, and people really liking Andy. I didn't quite understand Andy's upward trajectory career wise because I didn't necessarily find him the most interesting. Um, I argued that Andy probably should have given up hosting the reunions after he started showing favoritism, but I just didn't see all the hate. But you're right, maybe because it wasn't like a black thing, I didn't pay attention.
Oh, Andy's been up.
Nobody, I don't feel like anybody should be above reproach, but I wouldn't have an issue with somebody responding.
Andy has.
Yeah, and
I just looked at his thing. Andy has, and I'm literally just looking at this one right here. Andy has 27 HR lawsuits. Like, and that's like just in New York that I'm looking at. So I'm like, no, Andy been getting his, because I could imagine the ones in California. I could have, I could imagine. You know what I mean? So I think some of the things aren't necessarily as
visible
visible as the things. I think some of it is just because, you know, the clear women like to sue. So you know what I mean? So some of it is just a little different just because of how they chose to. But they used to call him I was like, no.
Yeah, I know Andy definitely had his day in the sun. I definitely know that.
A little hard.
But I just feel like you said, Mims, I just feel like we're so stuck on our shows because they targeted to our people, and that he hires our people, that when things happen to him, we want, like you said, nobody's above reproach.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, and then I'm gonna let everybody have their final word. Thank you guys for all coming up, and Mims, appreciate you coming up, boo. I want to say this. I agree. I think that Carlos absolutely has a right to defend himself. If somebody wants to criticize him, he absolutely, and he has the platform to do it. My issue isn't that he was defending himself. I was just bringing up the point that he normally doesn't. And I find it interesting. Like, what was it about? Like, did he finally just get to a breaking point where he was like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of y'all. Y'all can kiss my ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what made him wake up this morning and be like, okay, I'm sick of this?
I know he watches for sure. I know for a fact he watches, because when he'll mention me, the first thing he says all the time is, I don't know if he likes me or not. And I'm like, I was surprised he would care.
He definitely watches, because he stole Terrence's moniker for So Gucci. Like, you can't tell me no different. He stole that and put it on the show and didn't give him no credit. But that's
he stole who?
Giving you the Real T's moniker for So Gucci, when he says So Gucci / Sophia / Sante. He used that same line, and he been saying that stuff.
Oh, but yeah, I never had any beef with Carlos, but I did think it was interesting that I mean, you do think that people are kind of like, you know, you don't get into the weeds.
Oh yeah, he definitely watches, because I know he follows some of the same content creators on, because they've all said, oh yeah, he follows me. He definitely watches. He just may not.
Well, he don't watch me. He don't watch me, because when I saw him in DC, he was like, "Oh, you review the show? Oh, well, do you say nice stuff about me?" So he definitely ain't on me. So I was like, I must not be big enough to be on his radar, because he's showing. Because somebody else told him, because I didn't tell him. Somebody else was like, she reviews your shows, and he was like, "Oh."
But really, the thing is, I always found it weird. And this was a few years ago when, well, I guess, 2 years ago when the Love and Marriage DC second season came out. I just always found it weird that after Monique decided not to renew her contract or come on the show, I found it weird that he never said anything about that. That's when I kind of felt like, oh, they must have fell off on bad terms. Did you ever feel that way?
Well, I told you guys, I told you guys then, and I don't know this to be a fact, but I stick by my opinion. In my opinion, whatever contract Monique got with Carlos, I think the reason why Love and Marriage DC was stuck in purgatory for as long as it was is because I think that Carlos had to take care of the legal stuff with Monique as far as her being an executive producer, getting her name off the show, buying her out of her contract. Like I honestly think, because remember Monique's divorce was happening at the same time. So I honestly think that some of whatever Monique had going on with her being an EP or whatever that contract was, I think was mixed up in the assets and all of that with the divorce. Because even though they had a prenup doesn't always cover what happens during the marriage. It covers before the marriage. So I don't know, but I honestly think that part of the holdup with production on A Love and Marriage DC had a lot to do with whatever he had going on with Monique, because there was no other rhyme or reason for it. The show had been renewed. Right, the show had been renewed, and they had actually filmed those episodes. They were just sitting there. So there was like no reason other than, and you're right, the fact that he's never really said anything about Monique one way or the other, it does make me feel like maybe he can't, or like you said, that it was a nasty parting and he chooses not to. Because one thing I will say about Carlos genuinely, now people may not always like how he handles it, but Carlos genuinely does not shy away from the controversy. You know, you may not like how he chooses to address it, but he'll say, well, I know Monique ain't had, you know, he'll say something.
He didn't say a thing. I just found it weird. He didn't say a thing about her. Because I actually remember somebody having an interview with her before she decided to leave, that she was like, yeah, we're about to film season 2. And she was like promoting it. And then all of a sudden,
she actually started filming. Yes. She actually started, he actually started filming season 2. They filmed season 2. But remember, that was also around the time that Ashley let it slip that, well, I don't think it was a slip, but anyway, but Ashley said that Monique and Chris were separated, which they were separated.
Mm-hmm. I actually even remember when Sherelle and Black came to your platform that they was filming a party or something that Monique was throwing or part of or something like that they mentioned.
Monique was supposed to be there and she didn't show up. Yeah. So I know they're supposed to start filming. I think I already corrected myself, but I'll correct myself again. I think I told you guys last week that they had already started filming. They have not picked up cameras yet. I thought they had, so my apologies for that misinformation. They have not started filming again, but they are supposed to start filming. They were supposed to start filming after Christmas, and we're now almost in March. So once again,
we'll be here for another year.
The last I heard, last week I talked to somebody and they were told that they're going to start filming in the new year, but they still have not gotten any dates or times or anything like that. So.
New season 2026.
I mean, at this point, who cares?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be mean or anything, but like at this point, you really are starting from scratch. It really is like it's a brand new show because none of what happened prior means anything at this point. So.
Yeah, you're right. Well,
let me get
I appreciate everybody's opinion on everything we talked about today. I think it was very insightful. I think Carlos needs to do some soul searching when it comes to people actually crying out to him. And that's just the bottom line. I just really wish he would acknowledge these people's feelings.
I think, you know what? Sometimes an acknowledgement goes a long way. And I think that's what a lot of people really just want from him. With that being said, y'all, it's been 2 hours. They're gonna come back when P Valley comes back, child. They'll be back together. You're right. I want to thank everybody. I did not think this was going to be a 2-hour long live, but whenever I drop the link, it's always a good conversation. I thank everybody that came up and joined me, that joined in the conversation. People in the chat, I appreciate y'all so much. Make sure y'all go check out Kempire's video. Go check out, and there were a lot of other people that sort of had their 2 cents as well. Yeah, I'm about to go take a nap. I'm about to go take my afternoon nap. And I think part of the reason why I'm so tired too is because I'm not eating. So my appetite, I really haven't had an appetite. So when I do get hungry, I've been trying to eat because my appetite comes and goes. Like 1 minute I'll be hungry, but if I wait a few minutes, then I'm just not hungry anymore. So I think part of why I don't have a lot of energy is because honestly, y'all, since last Monday, I promise y'all, when I tell you since last Monday, I have literally only had eggs, soup, and I had like a couple of chicken wings one night. I literally have not had like a meal since I got sick. So I think before I go lay down, I think I'm gonna go get me something to eat for real, and try to put like some real food, like not even no fast food. Like I think I'm about to order from a restaurant and get like a real meal. Even if I don't eat all of it, you know what I'm saying? I need some food. And I think that's part of why I just don't have any energy, because I literally have not put anything in my body. So I need some protein. Yeah, that's what I was going to get. I was going to get some protein. I was going to get something like pasta, something like that, something that'll stick. And yeah, but I definitely feel better. The antibiotics are definitely working. I know a couple of times I had like a little coughing bout a couple of times, but honestly, I really am not coughing like I was. Like if y'all 2-3 days ago, like it really wasn't like, it's been a lot better. Longhorn, Nita, I think I am going to go get a steak though. I'm not going to Longhorn. I actually think I'm getting ready to go to Jasper's and get me a steak and get me a salad. And like I said, I know I'm not going to sit here and eat a whole steak, but even if I only eat a few pieces and then I can eat the rest for dinner, later on tonight, I think I just need some real food. I think I just need some real food, right? So all right, y'all. But thank y'all so much. I appreciate all of y'all suggestions, all of the love, all of the concern. And I will see y'all later. I may or may not, since it's my week to host the Whether You Like It or Not panel, I may or may not do Potomac tonight, you guys. I may just wait till tomorrow and not overdo it. Because like I said, I did not mean to be here for 2 hours. So I may do a tribe meeting today and then that be it. And then tomorrow, just do my Real Housewives of Potomac with the Whether You Like It or Not panel tomorrow night, and just not overdo it, you guys. Because I still have to pack. I still got stuff I have to do. So, all right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Mwah! Peace.